Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist, here with some words of wisdom for our day. And today we have a card from a deck we haven't seen in quite a while, the Virtues Reflection cards by the Virtues Project. And I believe this card deck was from 2005. And the subtitle is A Set of 100 Contemplative Cards to Help You Awaken Your Spirit and Live by Your Deepest Values. So, the value that we picked for today, or that picked us, if you want to look at it that way. Good morning, Linda. Welcome, welcome. Glad you are here. The value that picked us today is moderation. Moderation. And the first sentence, second sentence. Where is it? There was somewhere in there was the word, I know, it was in one of the I statements on the back side. Good morning, Sarah. Glad you're here. Welcome. Take a little sip of water here. All right. So, if you think about moderation as being sustainable, sustainability, that's what we're talking about here. Okay? So, a couple of nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, allowing the breath to bring you into the present moment. Right here, right now. Opening yourself with every inhale to receive what part of this message is for you today. Allowing everything that needs to be released to flow out on your exhale. So you just focus on breathing nice and deep, and I'll read the card and see what chimes for you, see what resonates. Moderation. Moderation is being content with enough. It is using self-discipline to create healthy balance between work, rest, reflection, and play. Moderation protects us from the pull of addictive desires. We do not grasp to do or have more in the belief that we are lacking. We do not try to be everything to everyone. How many of us get stuck in that one? We set healthy boundaries that value our time and energy. Women in particular struggle with that one, believing that what they're contributing has significant value. But it does. If someone had to pay someone to do the things that women typically do, it would be very expensive. We protect ourselves from the stress of overdoing. We discern our own perfect rhythm, because we're all marching to the beat of different drummers, right? So trying to do something the way someone else does it, or in their timeline, etc., is not a good approach. Not a good approach at all. Moderation isn't deprivation. It is loving ourselves enough to choose what is just right. And again, what is just right for you may not be just right for me or someone else, but it's important that it's just right for you. Okay? So the quote is from Joseph Hall. Moderation is the silken thread running through the pearl chain of all virtues. So basically he's saying it's the underpinning for everything, is this moderation. The practice of moderation. Here are some I statements, and if one of them chimes for you, pick it out and make it your mantra for today, okay? I spend my time and energy sustainably. I like that one. I spend my time and energy sustainably. I remember to pray and to play. I am free of addictions. I carry responsibility wisely. I protect myself from the stress of excess. I live gently and gracefully. I like that one also. So I'm going to read through them again so you can pick out one for your day. I spend my time and energy sustainably. I remember to pray and to play. I always have a hard time with that play piece. I really need work on that. I need to work at play. How's that for a divine masculine approach to a divine feminine aspect? I am free of addictions. I carry responsibility wisely. So in other words, not allowing yourself to get burdened under responsibilities that may not be yours, but fully owning the ones that are. I protect myself from the stress of excess. I live gently and gracefully. I live gently and gracefully. That's beautiful. Then the little prayer part is, I'm thankful for the gift of moderation. It frees me to enjoy my life. How true is that? when we are out of balance with things such as work, it makes it difficult to have balance in our lives. I went for a long walk yesterday with a friend of mine, and her husband is recently retired. And so I asked him how retirement was going, because I know that when people go from Mach 3 with their hair on fire to retirement, there's an adjustment period. There's an adjustment period. Finding the flow that is right for you. Even finding what is the right time for me to go to bed. What is the right time for me to get up? Right for me. Not for anybody else perhaps, but right for me. Okay? Excuse me. Woven in this card is again conversation about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. The divine masculine, run amok, pushed to its unhealthy extreme, is that doing, and not allowing the divine feminine balance point of being. There needs to be the doing, but there also needs to be the being. And we've leaned far too heavily toward the doing. And really, again, I think that was one of the COVID blessings, was putting more of us into the position of being. We couldn't tear around like a maniac, going to 8,000 events and taking kids to 8,000 events. Good morning, Deb. Glad you're here. So we did need, by necessity, we're put in the position of having more be time. And finding we set healthy boundaries to value our time and energy. We were talking as we were walking yesterday about how at 60, things are different energy-wise than they were at 30. And to honor that, not to view that as a bad thing, but again, that's the universe stepping in and saying, it's time for a different pace. Does that have to be a bad thing? Absolutely not. Again, I go back to that Deepak Chopra quote, good morning, Beth, about the park. Your experience of a park is different if you're strolling through it than if you're speeding past it in your car. Many of us have been speeding past our lives all the way along here, because that's what we've been set up to do. Now is the time, well, we're well past the time, but no time like the present, to slow that pace down, to begin to really be aware of. That's why I like having you take a couple of breaths at the beginning of our meditation each day, because it does slow you down and it does bring you into the present moment. And to fully avail yourself of the gifts that come in each of these cards every day, you need to be present. The more present you are. There have been times like with my own meditation where I'll get to the end of it and go, was I present for any of that? And I wasn't. So sometimes I'll go back and I'll do it again. Practicing that being in the moment. Stay here. Okay, thoughts are wandering. Come back here. Okay, I could do this. Nope, come back here. Over and over and over again, right? So that's kind of this idea of moderation, having more balance. Because the more, one of the things that I taught in classes is the idea of the three-legged stool. If all you have, if the stool is your balance point in life, and all you have that's going for you is work, one leg under your stool, that's a pretty wobbly stool. And if anything happens to that leg, you're done, right? On the other hand, and think about it, how many legs do we need for there to be a minimum amount of balance? Yep. How many of us have 3 well-developed areas in our lives? So that could be your faith, that could be your finances, that could be your work, it could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be, there's many different areas that could constitute those 3 legs under the stool. But I just think that's a good little rule of thumb, that 3 is the minimum required for there to be decent balance. How balanced are you? I have this thing that I do with clients sometime. It's a wheel, and it kind of looks like a pie, and each wedge of the pie is one of these areas. So finances, family, relationships outside of family, work, faith life, etc., physical activity, etc. And in each wedge, you put a little dot, how far out you think you are in terms of being as well developed as you could be in that area and as satisfied as you could be in that area. So let's say I'm really well developed with work and satisfied with that. I'd put it way out along the edge of the circle, out from the center in the edge of that circle. If it's an area, let's say social, and I don't have much of a social life, I would put the dot closer to the middle in that wedge. Then what you do is you connect all those dots and you see two things. How round is the connected dot part? If it's all jagged, you got some work to do to get things more even. And how close to the outside of the circle is it? Because that's your level of satisfaction. If you're well developed way out here on all those areas, rock on. I don't think I know anybody who is. But it gives you a nice visual to take a look at. How am I doing? How am I doing? Right? So one of the things that I modified when I came to Wisconsin was that social aspect. Joined a group, fun, feisty, and over 50, do some things with them, contacted a bunch of friends. Oftentimes I'll have 3 or 4 things in a week that I'm doing that are more of a social nature. The work stuff, I've throttled that back. For this period of time, it feels very important not to be pouring all of my energy into work. I've had those years. Things are changing. Things are different. So what about for you? What about for you? How are you in terms of that balance? The balance between the divine masculine, the doing, the balance between the divine feminine, the being. Think of it, again, I've used this analogy before, like a bicycle. There's a balance between the pedaling and the coasting. The pedaling and the coasting. Both are important. Both serve a purpose. If all you do is pedal, 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 you're going to burn yourself out. If all you do is coast, 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 you're going to fall over. You need the balance between the two. Look at your life from that perspective. How balanced are things? And if things are out of balance, which invariably they are for all of us, don't beat yourself up about that. Just note, pick an area. I'd like to work on my social right now, or I'd like to work on my spiritual right now, or I'd like to work on my relationships right now. Pick one, and then come up with some things that you can do. I will caution you, because our word today is moderation. Don't try to do the complete overhaul, all right? That's not sustainable. That's typically not sustainable. It's kind of like New Year's resolutions. We lay out this whole overhaul we're going to do on our life, and within a month, it's all fallen apart. Pick one thing. Pick one thing. Get that one online and going well. And I will give you one of my tips that I gave to my 33 people who did the Lightening Your Load class recently, which was about clutter clearing, is when you pick that one thing, however you're going to implement it, hook it up to something you already do. So in this case, it was clutter clearing. And I would suggest, okay, while you brush your teeth every morning, while you're brushing your teeth in the morning, that's your time to decide what aspect of clutter clearing you're going to do that day. And then go do it. Make it small, very small, because small increments over time lead to massive change. Trying to do it all at once leads to no change. Okay? So moderation. Moderation is our card for today. Being content with enough. And what is enough for one person is going to be different than what is enough for another person. And communicating respectfully about that. But I want to go back to that. I spend my time and energy sustainably. I live gently and gracefully. I think those are beautiful sentiments to send you out for your day in. Have an awesome day. See you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.